You are 19 years old, standing behind the counter of your father's hardware store in Dayton, Ohio, when the letter arrives. It is February 1943. Outside, snow is melting into gray water along the curb. Inside, your father is arguing with a customer about the price of nails. Your girlfriend Ruth is waiting for you after work because you promised to take her to the picture house. You have ordinary plans. Save enough money for a ring. Marry her after Christmas. Maybe take over the store one day. Nothing heroic, nothing complicated. Then the mailman places the envelope on the counter. Your name is typed across the front. Your father stops talking before you even open it. He fought in France during the First War. He knows what government paper feels like in the hand. Your mother cries when you bring it home. Ruth does not. Not at first. She sits beside you at the kitchen table and holds your wrist so tightly that you can feel her pulse through her fingers. The letter says you must report for induction in 12 days. 12 days until your life belongs to someone else. On the morning you leave, Ruth gives you a photograph taken beside the river the previous summer. She is smiling into the sun, one hand holding her hat. On the back she has written 5 words. Come home before the leaves change. You laugh because neither of you wants to admit that the leaves may change more than once before you return. You slide the photograph into the inside pocket of your jacket. It will stay there through training, across an ocean, into a landing craft, and onto a beach where almost everything else you carry will be lost. The Army sends you to basic training in Georgia. They cut your hair, take your clothes, replace your name with a number, and teach you to obey before you have time to think. You march until your feet blister. You learn to strip a rifle in darkness. You crawl under machine gun fire while instructors shout that the bullets are real because fear is supposed to make the lesson stick. You throw grenades, dig fighting holes, run until your lungs burn. At night, men talk about home with the intensity of starving people describing food. That is where you meet Eddie Caruso from Brooklyn. He worked in his father's bakery and can make every Army meal sound worse by describing what he should be eating instead. Fresh bread at 4 in the morning, cannoli dusted with sugar, tomato sauce simmering for 6 hours. He carries a small silver cigarette case that belonged to his older brother, killed in North Africa. Eddie does not smoke. He just opens the case when he is nervous and runs his thumb across the scratches. There is also Sergeant Miller, 27 years old, but already looking 40. He fought in North Africa and Sicily. He never raises his voice. He tells you that the men who talk most about killing usually freeze when the shooting starts. He tells you to watch the quiet ones. Then he points at Eddie and says, "That one talks enough for 3 men, but he'll be all right." Eddie grins. You believe Miller because he speaks like someone who has already seen the ending. Months later, you cross the Atlantic in a troop ship so crowded that men sleep in shifts. The air below deck tastes of oil, sweat, and vomit. You are told German submarines may be hunting the convoy. Every time the engines change speed, conversation stops. You imagine a torpedo striking the hull and the ocean pouring in before you can reach the stairs. Nothing happens. That almost makes it worse. Fear with no release has nowhere to go. You arrive in England beneath a cold gray sky. Villages look peaceful. Children wave as your truck passes. Old women hand soldiers tea. The army builds camps across the countryside and fills them with men, ammunition, fuel, tanks, landing craft, and rumors. France is close enough to imagine, but hidden across the channel. You train for an invasion everyone knows is coming and nobody can discuss. You climb down rope nets into small boats. You run across mock beaches under blank fire. You practice clearing obstacles, crossing wire, and attacking bunkers. Officers show you models of the French coast. They point to exits, strong points, minefields, and fields beyond the beach. On the map, every problem has an arrow drawn through it. Eddie leans toward you and whispers, "Amazing how bullets respect arrows." You nearly laugh during the briefing. Miller does not. On June 5th, 1944, rain beats against the tents. The wind is strong enough to shake the canvas. Men are told the invasion has been delayed. Some cheer. Most pretend to. That evening, the order changes. You are going. Chaplains move through the camp. Officers hand out ammunition, seasickness tablets, extra food, and final instructions. Men write letters they may never send. You write to your parents, then to Ruth. You tell her the weather is bad. You tell her England is beautiful. You do not tell her where you are going. You do not tell her that your hands are shaking. At the bottom of the page, you write, "I still have the photograph." Then you fold the letter and place it with the others. You board the transport before midnight. Thousands of ships move through the darkness around you. You cannot see most of them, only black shapes and covered lights. The sea is rough. Men vomit over the rails. Some pray, some sleep. Eddie opens and closes the silver cigarette case until Miller reaches over and takes it from him. You'll wear the hinge out before the Germans get a chance. he says. Eddie asks for it back. Miller keeps it and says he will return it when they reach France. That becomes the promise. Small, stupid, important. At dawn, you climb down a cargo net into a landing craft. The boat drops into the waves and slams against the ship. 30 men crowd inside. Water spills over the sides. Your rifle is wrapped against the spray. Your pack contains ammunition, grenades, food, a gas mask, an entrenching tool, and everything the army thinks you need to survive. It feels heavy enough to drown you. The landing craft turns toward Omaha Beach. At first, France is only a dark line. Then, the coast becomes clearer. Sand, bluffs, smoke, fires. You see landing craft drifting sideways. One burns near the shore, another explodes and vanishes behind black water. Naval shells pass overhead with a sound like trains tearing through the sky. The officer shouts that, "You have 1 minute." Eddie is beside you. His face is pale green from seasickness. He says something about never eating fish again. Miller stands behind him, holding the silver case in one hand and his rifle in the other. Then machine gun bullets strike the front ramp. The sound is sharp and metallic. Everyone ducks even though there is nowhere to go. 30 seconds. You reach inside your jacket and touch Ruth's photograph. Come home before the leaves change. For 1 second, you are back beside the river. Then the boat hits bottom. The ramp falls. The first 2 men are cut down before they can leave the craft. Everyone moves at once. You go over the side because the ramp has become a doorway filled with bullets. The water is deeper than expected. It reaches your chest, then your chin. Your pack pulls you under. Your boots search for ground and find nothing. A wave turns you sideways. You swallow seawater. Men around you are sinking because they cannot release their equipment fast enough. You claw at the straps, kick upward, and finally touch sand. Your rifle is wet. Your lungs burn. Eddie appears several yards away, fighting through the surf. Miller is nowhere in sight. Bullets strike the water in white lines. You move toward the beach 1 step at a time. You cannot run. Steel obstacles rise from the surf, covered with mines and wire. Men crowd behind them because even bad cover feels better than none. A soldier beside you loses his helmet. He reaches for it. A bullet hits him before his hand touches the water. You keep moving. That is the first thing the beach teaches you. The moment you stop for someone, you may join him. You reach the sand and throw yourself behind a steel obstacle. Eddie lands beside you. He is breathing so hard that he cannot speak. A wounded man lies on the other side, calling for his mother. You look for a medic. There is no medic. There is no officer. There is no unit. The beach has taken every plan and torn it into pieces. Men from different companies hide together. Radios are destroyed. Tanks burn in the shallows. Engineers carrying explosives crawl toward wire while machine guns fire down from the bluffs. The bombardment was supposed to crush the defenses. It did not. The Germans are still there, and they can see everything. Eddie asks where Miller is. You say he is probably farther down the beach. Neither of you believes it. You run. 10 steps, drop, another 10. Sand jumps around your boots. A bullet snaps past your ear so closely that the sound hurts. You reach a crater already filled with 3 men. One is alive but cannot move his legs. Another keeps repeating the same sentence. I lost my rifle. I lost my rifle. The third is dead. Eddie tries to pull the wounded man deeper into the crater. The man screams. Machine gun fire cuts across the opening. You shout that you have to go. Eddie looks at you as though you have said something unforgivable. Then another shell lands nearby, and the decision is made for both of you. At the shingle bank, dozens of men press against the narrow cover. Some fire uphill without seeing a target. Some stare at nothing. Some dig into stones with bare hands. Staying feels safe for a minute, which makes it dangerous. Artillery is beginning to find the line. An officer crawls past shouting that the beach is only the beginning. If nobody moves inland, everyone dies here. Engineers blow a gap through the wire. The explosion showers you with dirt. A second team moves forward after the first is hit. You watch one man continue cutting wire while blood runs down his sleeve. Courage does not look like the posters. It looks like a terrified person finishing a task because nobody else can. You and Eddie crawl through the opening. The slope beyond the beach is steep. Grass hides holes, wire, and mines. Small folds in the ground give a few feet of protection. You move from one to another. Halfway up, you find Miller lying behind a bank of earth. For 1 second, relief hits so hard that you nearly laugh. Then you see the blood beneath him. A fragment has entered below his ribs. He is still conscious. He still has Eddie's cigarette case in his hand. Eddie drops beside him. Miller tries to speak but coughs instead. He pushes the case toward Eddie. "Told you," he says. "France." Eddie takes it with both hands. You press a dressing against Miller's wound. He tells you to stop wasting it. You tell him the medics are coming. He looks at you with the tired patience of a man listening to a child lie badly. Then he points uphill. The guns are still firing. More men are dying on the sand. "Go," he says. Eddie refuses. Miller grabs his sleeve with surprising strength. "Go." You leave him there. For the rest of your life, you will remember the exact feeling of Eddie's arm in your hand as you pull him away. Not Miller's blood, not the explosions, the resistance. Eddie fighting you because some part of him still believes friendship means never leaving. The war teaches him otherwise in less than 10 seconds. You climb. Near the top, German voices carry through the grass. You throw a grenade into a trench and hear someone scream. Eddie fires at a shape moving behind the smoke. You enter the position and find a German soldier younger than you trying to reload with shaking hands. He looks up. For 1 second, both of you freeze. He has blue eyes, mud on his face. A photograph tucked beneath the strap of his helmet, then Eddie fires. The German falls. Eddie stares at him. He was reaching for the rifle. He says, you say, "I know." You do not know. There is no time to decide what happened. The trench continues. The beach below is still full of men. You move from bunker to bunker, firing, shouting, throwing grenades, doing things that will later return in pieces when you try to sleep. By afternoon, the position is taken. By evening, the Americans hold a narrow strip of land. The invasion has survived. Nobody around you says victory. They ask for water, ammunition, morphine, names of missing men. Miller is never found alive. The next morning, Eddie opens the silver case. Inside is a tiny photograph of his brother in uniform. Eddie has seen the photograph 1,000 times, but now he turns the cigarette case over and notices one word scratched beneath the hinge. Miller must have carved it during training or aboard the ship. Move. Eddie laughs once, then quietly cries. He closes the case and places it inside his shirt. You thought reaching France would be the hard part. Inland Normandy proves you wrong. Thick hedgerows of earth, roots, and vegetation turn every field into a trap. Machine guns wait behind openings. Snipers fire once and disappear. Mortars fall from observers you never see. On the beach, the danger was ahead of you. Here, it is everywhere. Your squad receives replacements, including 17-year-old Billy Harper, who lied about his age and constantly talks about the medals he will win. Eddie gives him half a chocolate bar and jokes that medals stop bullets. Billy laughs. 2 days later, he steps on a mine. The blast throws him into a hedge. He survives, but his leg does not. As the medics carry him away, he repeatedly apologizes for losing his rifle. You remember the wounded man in the beach crater saying the same thing in another voice. The days become a rhythm. Walk, stop, listen, cross, dig, endure the shelling, move again. You sleep in wet clothes, eat cold food from tins, and keep your boots on because an attack may begin at any moment. You identify weapons by sound. German machine guns tearing the air like cloth, coughing mortars, and descending artillery whistles that press every man into the earth. At first, every body shocks you. Later, you eat beside them because there is nowhere else to sit. Becoming used to that frightens you more than the bodies. You write to Ruth, but remove every true sentence. France is green. The food is bad. You still have her photograph. You do not mention that it is stained with seawater and blood, and you do not know whose blood. Eddie changes more slowly. He still talks about bread, shares his food, and opens the case when frightened. Before every attack, he touches Miller's word. Move. It becomes a command, a prayer, and an excuse. In July, intelligence sends your platoon into a village believed to contain German soldiers. The streets appear empty. Curtains move. A hidden dog barks. An old man stands beside a doorway with both hands raised. Your lieutenant orders the squad forward. A shot cracks. He falls. Everyone fires. Windows explode. Bullets tear through doors. Eddie drags you behind a stone wall while someone throws a grenade into the house where the shot may have originated. After the explosion, you enter. There is no German soldier. A woman lies on the floor. A boy stares silently from beneath a table. Nobody knows where the first shot came from. Outside, the old man is still standing with his hands raised. That night, Eddie does not talk about food. He opens the case, reads the word, and asks, "Move where?" You have no answer. The war moves anyway. Weeks later, the army breaks out of Normandy. Roads fill with trucks, tanks, prisoners, refugees, dead horses, and burned vehicles. French civilians cheer. Children ask for chocolate. Women place flowers on tanks. A girl about Ruth's age kisses your cheek. For a moment, liberation feels like the clean story you were promised. Then you see a family digging through a home destroyed by Allied bombs. Victory and grief occupy the same street. Outside St. Lo, Eddie is killed without a heroic charge or dramatic sacrifice. He is sitting beside you in a ditch, opening a tin of meat, when one artillery shell lands behind the hedge. You wake several feet away with dirt in your mouth and ringing ears. Eddie is barely alive. His silver case lies open in the mud. You crawl to him. He cannot feel his legs. He asks you to describe Ruth. You tell him about the river photograph, her hat, the way she laughs before finishing a joke, the hardware store, the picture house, and the ring you intended to buy. With his eyes closed, Eddie says, "My father's bread comes out at 4. Whole street smells it." You promise he will smell it again. He smiles because he knows you are lying. His hand finds the case and pushes it towards you. Don't let him disappear. You never know whether he means his brother, Miller, or himself. Then, he is gone. From that day, you carry the case. Ruth's photograph stays inside your jacket. Eddie's brother remains inside the silver case. 2 lives, 2 promises. One belongs to the future you wanted. The other belongs to men who no longer have one. Paris is liberated. Autumn arrives. Ruth's message becomes impossible to ignore. Come home before the leaves change. The leaves turn gold, then brown, then vanish while you continue east. Everyone says Germany is finished and you will be home by Christmas. Winter comes. The fighting continues. You stop trusting rumors and imagining dates. Home exists only inside letters. Germany surrenders in May 1945. You are 21 but feel older than your father looked when your draft letter arrived. Men cheer, fire guns, and find alcohol. You sit alone behind a ruined building and open Eddie's case. Your thumb has nearly worn Miller's word smooth. Move. For 2 years, it kept you alive. Now there is nowhere left to move. You return to Ohio in autumn 1945 after the leaves have changed 3 times. Your mother cries at the station. Your father silently holds your shoulder. He understands silence. Ruth looks almost exactly like her photograph and completely different. She runs into your arms. You feel relief, love, grief, and fear, but all of it comes through glass. Everyone expects the old you to leave the train. You try to perform him. You smile and tell safe stories. The crossing was rough, France was beautiful, Eddie was a good friend. You do not mention Miller on the hill, the German boy in the trench, the child beneath the table, or Eddie in the ditch. Ruth asks why you carry a cigarette case when you do not smoke. It belonged to a friend. That is all you can say. At the hardware store, the same bell rings. Customers complain about prices. Your father stacks boxes exactly as before. Ordinary life continued without permission. You should feel grateful, but its sameness feels accusatory. Trucks backfire and you wake beneath the kitchen table. Rain becomes machine gun fire against the landing craft. Ruth learns not to touch you suddenly. You buy the ring but leave it in a drawer for 6 months. Your old future remains available, but you no longer know how to enter it. One evening, Ruth finds you behind the store holding Eddie's case. She asks about the word. You tell her about Eddie, Miller, and the beach. Not everything, never everything, but enough. She listens without telling you to forget. Then she closes your fingers around the case. Then move, just not alone. You marry that winter. Years pass. You inherit the store and have a son, then a daughter. Eddie's case stays in your desk's top drawer. The photograph fades. The scratches remain. Your children know you fought in World War II, but to them it is a map, Normandy is a name, and Omaha is black and white footage. They know the Allies won, and you came home. They do not know that when the ramp fell, there was no ending. Only deep water, heavy equipment, and frightened men waiting behind you. You were not fearless. Neither were Miller or Eddie. You moved because staying meant dying, then continued because the men beside you needed you. When the war ended, you discovered movement was easier than stopping. At 68, you returned to Normandy with Ruth. The beach is quiet. Families walk beside the sea. Children play where men once drowned beneath their packs. Grass covers the bluffs and the bunkers are empty. Near where the landing craft opened, you take out Ruth's faded river photograph and Eddie's silver cigarette case. Inside, his brother's photograph is barely visible. Beneath the hinge, Miller's word remains: move. For the first time, you understand it was never only an order to advance. It was an order to carry them forward. You close the case and place it in the sand. Then you take Ruth's hand. The sea moves exactly as it did that morning, but nobody is pushing you now. This time, you choose the direction, and you walk away from the water.